Welcome back. In this video, we will be looking at how we can use pre-parsing to improve the performance of our SQL queries. Like in the previous section, this method requires some use of Q syntax and data types to implement, but I will point those out as we go so even newcomers will be able to follow. Now, by default, our .s.e function, and indeed sprompt, will always first parse your query from SQL to Q, and then secondly execute it. Now, if we take the scenario where we might have highly repeatable queries, for example, running an analytic multiple times or running a query from a dashboard, the query is both parsed and executed every single time. If the incoming query is remaining unchanged, the parsing really only needs to happen once, and this would improve performance. Let's show this with an example. So here we have a standard select statement, and we're going to introduce the timer function, which is \t in Q. And this will tell us how long our query is taking. So running this once takes very little time at all. This time is in milliseconds. And then if we run it 1,000 times, that's what this notation means here, you can see it's taking significantly longer. Now, if this timing notation is new, you can head to the link provided for some further reading on this. Let's see if we can improve on this time. One requirement of the function is that you need to pass it an empty table schema. So let's create one. We can do this by selecting 0 rows from our trips table quite easily. Then we run it in a similar way to .s.sp, so using square brackets and referring to our parameters with the $sign. And then with s.sq, we pass the parameters inside the square brackets, where the first one is the empty table and the second one is a null value of the filter on the date column. Great, that's now pre-parsed for us. Then to execute it, we can use .s.sx instead of .s.e, and we run it like this using Q syntax. So that's the square brackets and parameters passed afterwards. So you can see running it once takes very little time at all. It's already been parsed. And then running it 1,000 times, we get a huge improvement in comparison to before. And this really allows us to quantify how much time the parsing bit is taking versus the execution. And it really shows the speed of the Q language when it's run directly. And if performance and very fast speeds are important to you, then this step is very well worth doing, depending on your implementation. And also it would be worth doing some of our beginner courses on the Academy on the Q language, so you can transition from SQL to Q as you get more and more comfortable with the KX technology. Okay, quiz time again. Now head over to our quiz to test your understanding of the pre-parsing. And I'll see you in the next video where we'll be looking at interoperability using the SQL interface.